Welcome to the RN2writer Show. I'm your host, Elizabeth Haynes. I'm a nurse, but I used to make my living as a writer, and today I help other nurses and health professionals become freelance writers too. Before we get started, let me remind you to click open the description box on YouTube or check the show notes on Spotify and Apple Podcast for a link to any resources I mention. All right, today we have a fun episode. Well, I think it's fun because it's creative. Today's episode answers the question, what should I name my writing business? We get this a lot in our programs, especially in Get Paid Well to Write. Nurses say to me, I'm not sure what name I should pick for my business. I want people to be able to find my website easily, and so on and so forth. So the first thing that I want to note is your business name in terms of your LLC, or if for some reason you're starting a corporation, your corporate name does not need to be the same as your domain name, which is the name you type into the browser bar to access the website. I always tell people your business name should have great meaning to you and be something you can live with forever, because it will never change, whereas your domain name, which is your website name, your URL, you never know. You might change that multiple times in your writing career. I changed mine several times, my domain name. Your business name, your LLC name, is the name that's going to appear on the contracts you sign to get paid for writing for clients. And that's the only place that it has to ever appear, is on a contract. So an example I like to give is, my own business name is Inkslinger Communications, LLC. However, I never actually did business under that name. I never had a website by that name. I branded my own name, Elizabeth Haynes, for my writing work, and so my domain name for many, many years, most of my freelance career, was elizabethhaynes.com. And then later on, I changed it to hayneshealthcontent.com for various reasons I won't go into, but that was a dumb move. Don't do it. You also can brand your name and use that as a domain name, but I want to get back to the business naming part for a minute. Like I said, make it something special or memorable. Now, one caveat. You need to know that in many states, any licensed health professional, such as a nurse, a physician, a PA, a licensed clinical social worker, you may not be able to use your title in your business name. So in other words, I would not have been able to set up an LLC of Elizabeth Haynes RN LLC. That's because some states have rules around the types of business entities you can have if you're a licensed health professional and you want a title in your business name. Many times, if that's the case, you're required to set up what's called a PLLC, which is a professional legal liability company. PLLC is not what you want for your health writing business. PLLCs are for people who are performing clinical activities in their business. So, for example, therapists often have PLLCs, psychiatrists, psychologists, MDs, nurses who are setting up some sort of business that involves, for example, wound care. That might be appropriate for a PLLC. And if you have questions about the distinction between the LLC and the PLLC, I suggest talking to a CPA. There could be tax implications, for example, that you may not want to get into. So, Choose a business name that you love that has meaning to you and make that your LLC name, because the only place it's going to appear is two places actually, on the contract and on the check. The rest of the time, you can use your domain name, your URL, your address on the web to do business. And like I said, that can be completely different from your business name. When you choose a domain name, I'm talking about a .com, a .net, a .co, you should make sure that that reflects what you do. You can use your name if it's available, but increasingly it's really hard to get excellent .coms, which are called top-level domain names. So your name may be taken. I suggest that you look up Google algorithm rules or knowledge that we currently have to see if having a keyword in your domain name helps with search rank. Once upon a time, it seemed like it did. Since then, people seem to think it does not. Now the tide may be turning again to saying, yes, keywords in your URL are good. So you might want to look some information up on that. Your domain name, you may be able to use a professional licensure or title such as ElizabethHaynesRN.com. However, you do need to check the laws regarding that, because in all of the United States, nurse, RN, LPN, those are all called protected titles. That's to prevent people who are not actually licensed or who are not educated as a nurse, doesn't have a degree or a certification, from using those titles. So there could be additional rules around that. So I would say check that out. But my point today is to say it can be really fun and a fantastic creative exercise to pick out your business name, and then also to figure out what you want for your domain name. You might want to be Butterflies and Roses LLC, for example, doing business on the web as marysmiththenurse.who-writes.com. Either of those is acceptable. Your business name and your domain name can be totally different. So use your creativity and choose the best options for you. That's all I have to say about this today on the RN2writer Show. What questions do you have about, branding yourself, branding your business, picking a domain name, picking your business name? Feel free to put them in the comments on YouTube, or you can always shoot us an email through our website. Thanks for joining me on the RN2writer Show. I'm your host, Elizabeth Haynes, and until next time, keep pitching.